Welcome to the Marketing and Me podcast. If you're eager to grow your health and wellness business via effective marketing methods while maintaining your own health and wellness, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Leanne Shelton, and I help business owners just like you build trustworthy connections with their ideal clients. And I do this through engaging, conversational, copywriting, and strategic advice at right time marketing. So feel free to book in a free 30-minute discovery call with me after listening to today's episode. The details are in the show notes. But now I'd like to introduce you to my guest, Katie Jones. Welcome, Katie.
Hi, Leanne. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Now, before we move much further into the episode, I'll read out your bio so everyone knows who you are. So Katie is the CEO and founder of CultureFit HR. She specialises in building high-performing teams to help businesses stop losing great people and reduce their recruitment costs. Katie has transformed cultures across the world by improving behaviours and maximising profits. She's seen teams transform dramatically by engaging more authentically, achieving results, and just being much more happier at work. And as a result, the businesses are much more productive. This is all thanks to having systems in place and an expert like Katie to help along the way. So yeah, that sounds like very interesting work.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I love helping teams. I'm really passionate about culture. So it's really a great fit for me.
Perfect. And could you share a little bit more about you, your business journey, and what you do?
Yeah, so I've been working in HR for over 15 years. So I have a background in various roles such as people and culture, organisational development, and learning and development. I've been doing HR for probably about 10 years in Sydney before I moved over to London. And I was working over there for 5 years in an amazing company. It combined my love for fitness and my passion around sports and fitness, and then also combined with my skills around HR. So that was a great role. Came back from London like every Aussie does, and really unsure about that transition stage is really difficult. I don't think people talk about that enough, and not sure what I really wanted to do. And then the company that I was working for in London, the Australian office, connected with me and asked if I could do a project with them, and then that's when I started CultureFit HR. So the main purpose around CultureFit HR is to help businesses improve their culture by working with their teams. I've worked with different models as a trainer, facilitator, and coach to just get teams working better together, more cohesively, and also achieving results. But my end goal is that people are happy when they go to work. I've been in the HR for so long, and I've sat on the other side and seen so many unhappy employees, and I just want to fix that for them. So yeah.
Well, it's true because you spend so much time at work. You want to be happy, like where you are. And I've been, involved in some toxic work environments in the past. So it's very important.
It is definitely it's just so heartbreaking to see when people aren't enjoying their work. Like you said, you spend so much time, and I've been in that situation too. You just dread getting out of bed because you just don't want to go in. So I want to kind of eliminate those feelings and want people to get up and be excited about going to work and be fulfilled after a day of work and achieving what they set out to achieve.
Yeah, brilliant. And so when COVID hit, staff from all over the world were suddenly forced to work from home. What impact did this have on teams?
Yeah, so a lot of my clients, I guess this is the case for many Australian businesses as well. They just weren't set up to have a remote have their workforce work remotely. So the one thing they really struggled with at first, I think, was just getting those foundations. So getting systems in place that will help teams work collaboratively, and cohesively. So definitely getting the workstation set up at home, getting some software in, getting the IT set up in terms of VPN. And I guess the two main tools that I did when I was speaking to my clients that I helped them out with and advised that they should look at is Trello and Slack, because for a team, they're great tools to really set out where the team's, what they're set out to achieve, and then a really great communication tool for them as well to keep that communication going. So I guess once they had those in place, the next thing was being clear on what the team was set out to achieve. So it's really important that employees know what it is they do, and then what is expected of them. So managers really had to communicate well what the team was working towards, and making sure that everyone knew what had to contribute to that overall goal as well.
Yeah. So are you saying, so you mentioned Trello and Slack, and I'll put that in the show notes, but they weren't using anything like that before because they were just in the same space? They could just go tap someone on the shoulder or drag them in for a quick meeting?
Yeah. So I guess, as you know, when you are working in an open plan office, it's easier just to yell out across the table a question. I was just speaking to my sister this morning, and she was saying the same thing. It's just having that organic conversation that just doesn't happen anymore, because you're at home. There's a barrier to picking up a phone sometimes and just asking a question. So I guess that was probably the biggest challenge for them. And these tools really help them work easier, I guess, around communication.
Yeah. And so from your experience, what have the engagement levels been like over the last couple of months? Like, pretty, I guess initially would have been very rocky, but probably improved if they've got those systems in place. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, we did working with a group of people, and we sent out a survey recently to all business leaders and HR directors and business owners to find out what their biggest challenge was to managing their people at this time. And, the one thing that came back over again and again was engagement. And I think that's been the biggest challenge for leaders and business owners, is how do you keep that engagement while your team is working remotely from home? So a few of the things, I'll just read out a few of the things that they were struggling with was, trying to keep their team motivated and focused when they were working from home, and trying to build that engagement in a time when employees might be on reduced salary as well. I thought that was, that's a really difficult one to deal with. Extended time at home, and then how do you engage with those teams on a social level? So, when you're walking past the desk and you've got all the water cooler chat around, oh, how was your weekend? And what are you up to this weekend? That just doesn't happen anymore. So they really struggled with that. And then the last one was around onboarding new team members in a remote workforce. And then while everyone's struggling, trying to, I guess, deal with their day-to-day issues and all the stresses that are going on, and then you're onboarding someone new into that environment, which was a real struggle as well, they said, for them.
Yeah, I can imagine. And those as well, if they had the homeschooling thing going on, then it makes it even harder to really engage and focus.
Yes, most definitely. It's interesting how people have adapted to this new ways of working. I was speaking to a few of my friends, and I honestly, and I was speaking to people about this yesterday. I think it also comes down to the personality type you are as well. A lot of my friends that are more of that extrovert personality type, like I'm a DISC trainer, so if you're looking at your I's and your D's, they're going to struggle because they probably get their energy off people. So being at home and working on your own can be really struggling. Not being able to chat to people during the day and just having that isolation is going to be hard. But then I have a friend who's an introvert, and she loves it. So she's like, it's great. I get up, I get to do my work. I don't got any distractions. I love being home. I don't mind that I don't have to interact with people. It's actually great because I'm getting more work done. So I think, for me, I'm definitely a high I, so I would struggle as well. But I definitely think it comes down to personality types and how comfortable you are at just being at home with yourself, or if you need to feed off people and get that energy off people to stay motivated.
Yeah. So I guess then you got to, if you know that's for you, you have to line up Zoom chats or something with your teammates or something so that you can feed off that energy. Like, don't let yourself get completely isolated if you know that's going to lead to a downward spiral. You got to really just tune and go, all right, well, I need that interaction. So you need to make it happen.
Yeah. And I think that's why, using Slack especially is a really good tool to kind of keep that communication lines open. You can even have channels on there that are social, so they're not anything to do with work. And you could be around, what's your favorite Netflix series you're watching this week? And, have the team communicate on something that's more fun and not work related. So they've still got that social level going on.
Yeah. And so tell me, what are your predictions for like team working arrangements in the future going forward?
Yeah, so I think it's, I think there's a lot of people that are keen to go back to work, but I think because we've had this at home and people, can just do things during the day as well. Like there, there's that freedom to go, I'll work from maybe 9 till 12 and then go and do some washing or something and then get back to work. So I think, and given the, with everything that's going on, I think some people will be a bit uncomfortable going into the office. So I have heard that lots of businesses now are doing more of a staggered approach. So a few people will go in for a couple of days in the team, and then the rest of the week, the other half will go in for a couple of days, and they will, I guess, just kind of rotate that on a weekly basis until everyone's comfortable to go back to work. But I do think there is going to be more flexibility now that businesses have seen that their teams can work remotely from home and be productive as well. And there's been I've heard some really positive things come out of this working from home arrangement, where managers that were reluctant to have their teams go and work from home because maybe they just hadn't built that trust with their team members yet. And since they've been working from home, they've been able to prove that they can work productively, but also they've actually gotten to know their employees on a more of a personal level, because you might have their kids walking in, or their partner is in the background, or
Hopefully dressed. Yep.
yeah. So it's actually been I think really beneficial in that respect, that people are getting to know each other more on a personal level than what they probably would when they're in the office and they don't have their family around, or
Yes, 100% agree. Like, yeah, when you touched on that, the managers with those who were hesitant, letting them work from home, 100%. This is a major learning curve for them to say, all those micromanagers out there, you could be one. It is okay that the work will get done, and obviously had to be a little bit more flexible with the kids. But I'm sure there was many Zoom sessions where kids would be in the background and they'd have to straight away mute themselves to just yell at a kid. But yeah, look, I've been doing webinars and things, and having my kids come in, or even just Zoom meetings one-on-one. And people, like in the past, I would have been really embarrassed by that, going, "Oh, that looks so unprofessional." But it's happening to everyone. It was, at least we're homeschooling. And so it's true. It just kind of adds this whole other human element to, because at work you're like, that's the work person, and unless you hang out with them socially on the weekends, or and you get to know their family, you probably don't know that other side to them.
Yeah, and I think people put on kind of a persona too when they're in the workplace. They put on this like corporate work face as they walk through the door. But then when you're at home, you're a bit more relaxed, and there's other things going on. So I think that's when people are a bit more open with sharing what their personal life with their team members or their manager. So I think it's been great in that respect for a lot of teams, just to get to know each other on a deeper level. And I think also building that trust, for teams, the foundation of a great team is to build trust. And I think if the managers were struggling in the beginning with, worried about their teams working from home, is because they hadn't really built that trust, or they haven't really been clear on what the expectations are for the team. But I think this has kind of proven to those managers, oh, my team can do this, and kind of give up some of that control that they might have over the team. And find new ways of working that it would be beneficial for the employee and for the office and the company as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. And so as the dust settles, how can teams reconnect and reset? I believe you have a 6-step engagement process that you'd like to share today.
Yeah, so businesses are gearing up to going back to work, and what that might look like we talked about, it could be a alternative working week for the teams, but then some teams might just go back straight into working together. So what I'm putting together at the moment is a 6-step engagement process so companies can re-engage with their teams. So the first thing is around, I talked about, I've got one step before that is building trust. So there's, like I mentioned before, the foundations of a great team is to build trust. So really understanding how to work better with the teams on a deeper level. And that is around, I guess, getting to know, if they haven't gotten to know their team members while they've been working from home, is to do that. And I usually get teams to share some personal things about them in terms of, where they grew up, where they are in the, if they have siblings and where they fall within that sibling order. They could also talk about a challenge that they had as being a child or something from their childhood. And it's really great. You really see teams really open up because then they're like, oh, I didn't know that about you, or you learn so many things that you just wouldn't expect because you've never really asked the question. So that's one thing that is really important, is to get to know each other on that deeper level. And it's more around not predictability based trust where I can trust that if I say something that you're going to go and do that. It's more around that vulnerability based trust, to get into a team where they can say, hey, put up their hand and be like comfortable with saying, hey, I don't know how to do this, can you help me? Or I think I've made a mistake, I'm really sorry. And once teams get to that point, then that's just the foundation of they're going to be working really well. So that's kind of my little tip before this engagement process kicks off. And then what I wanted to do is get the teams to reconnect to what's important. So the first thing is around a shared vision. So if your team hasn't come up with a shared vision, then they need to do so, because the purpose of having a shared vision is that team members will want to do a task because they want to do it, not because they're told to. And they're more likely going to contribute to the team if they have if they've been part of building this shared vision. And you want it to be something that's at least 3 to 5 years achievable. So you want it to be something that's inspiring and that they can work towards. The second thing is around team purpose. So it's really important that you reconnect with your employees and your team members and figure out why they're there. So, why did they choose to work in the industry that they're in? And, what is it that gets them out of bed every day? What is that motivation? Because if you can connect the individual employees' why to the overall why, then you've got that emotional connection, and they're going to be more engaged and more motivated to be achieving what the team sets out to achieve. So firstly, I would talk a lot of find out what the employee's individual why is, and then as a team just go around and kind of come up with a team purpose statement that everyone can connect to and relate to. Then the third reconnection bit is around values and behaviours. And if the company has values, that's great. I would suggest use those. Don't create some new ones. Just use those. Get the team to unpack what those values are and what they mean to them, because these are really going to help in guiding their actions and attitudes. And then the second is behaviours. So come up with some behaviours that are unacceptable and are not acceptable for the team. So this is how they want to treat each other. So I tend to use above the line and below the line behaviour model. So when we're coming from above the line, you coming up with behaviours that have ownership. And then if you're looking at below the line behaviours, these are the behaviours that are around blame and excuses, because people are usually coming from a place of fear. So you do want to highlight what those look like, and you really want to highlight those ownership and accountability behaviours as well that are above the line, so that the teams can call each other out when they're not behaving in the way that they should be. So getting clear on connecting on those 3 things are really important first to build engagement and increase that engagement. And then the last 3 are around collective goals is the 4th thing. So that's around getting the team to understand what their overall goal is, what they want to achieve. And generally, if the company has business goals, that will cascade down from that. And you want to be clear on what that goal is, and then how each individual person feeds into that overall goal as well. It's really important that employees are clear on what it is they do and what is expected of them. The fifth thing, is communication. So we were talking about before teams working remotely, and it's really important that they stay connected. But there's a simple model that I use when I work with teams, and that's around these 4 meeting types. So the first one is a daily check-in. You really want to just have the team go around and talk about what they're working on that day. It can be a stand-up meeting. It doesn't need to be anything longer than probably 10, 15 minutes. And then the next meeting is your weekly tactical. So you want it to be about 45, 90 minutes. And this meeting is more around anything that the team's working on as well, but more around what could be a challenge for the team, and how do they overcome those obstacles that might inhibit them from becoming successful. And then the next meeting is just your monthly strategic meeting. So that's usually 2 to 4-hour meeting, and I suggest that you just do 2 topics. So something that's strategic that the team maybe is working on a quarter, like around the quarterly or yearly goals. But I would suggest that the team come prepared to having really good discussion around those 2 topics. And then lastly is the quarterly. So this is usually a 1 to 2 day event where the team can work on maybe competitive, like what's happening within the industry, and also it's a time that the team can work on development. So making sure that there is a development piece within that team, but also building in some team building as well, because this is a time when the team can socially get together and get to know each other a bit more. And then lastly is roles and responsibilities. So like I mentioned before, being clear on what it is you do and what is expected of you is really, it's probably one of the foundations actually for employees to being successful in their role, I guess. So, one really good model I use is RACI as well around that with teams to, identify who is responsible and accountable. And so on. So so they're my 6 steps to resetting and reconnecting your team going back to work over the next couple of months.
Brilliant. They're really good. I love that. And yeah, I agree with the team building activities is in particular you mentioned at the end there. I think after, having a few months away from each other, that's probably even more essential for reconnecting, the socially and, just kind of seeing themselves as a team again, not just as separate entities working from home. And I know like some great team building groups, things like archery and, like they've got to solve the mystery to get through what do they call the
escape rooms?
Escape rooms, yeah. That's the one.
I've always wanted to do them.
Oh, I've done one. I loved it. I'm like, I've got to come back, and it's still been months. And then, I have to go back because it was so much fun. I really love that. And are you able to apply those tips so I can put that in the show notes?
Yeah, definitely. I'm building an online course at the moment around these as well, which I can share and in any kind of resources and stuff as well I'll share with you, because there's lots of team building and lots of exercises throughout those 6 steps that are really simple but help teams dramatically in re-engaging around these things. I mean, businesses are probably the one thing that's I think is really important is around those roles and responsibilities and the goals, because businesses would have changed so much in the last couple of months because of COVID. And, some businesses may have even pivoted and changed direction. So it's really about getting the team to understand where the business is now going. So what does the next 6 to 12 months look like? And so then what does that mean for the team? what are the team's new goals? What are they going to be focusing on for the next 6 to 12 months? And then how does that individual contribute to those team goals as well? So I think resetting around goals and responsibilities and expectations is probably the one thing that I would suggest that I guess managers should start doing, and start thinking about over the next couple of months, and then reconnecting to those things that are important around, the vision, the team purpose, values and behaviours as well.
Yeah, because it comes back to that whole thing, why should I get up in the morning? So if they know I play this part, and you feel like you're a value, you're contributing something, it just makes such a big difference. So I agree that getting that clarity again, because it's probably been a bit muddled recently, just everyone's scrambling just to get through the days. So I love that. Just refocusing, going, all right, what are we all working on? And start going towards that goal, and then being productive as a result.
Yeah, and I think before you just mentioned, like, getting that buy-in from employees in the beginning is really important to ensure you have that engagement piece, because if they do understand their why, or they have contributed to building the vision, they're more likely to be more re-engaged when they go back into the team environment, and more motivated, I guess, to achieve what the team set out to achieve.
Yeah, because I just want to bring up here, I know I've been in environments where I've been treated like a child in the team, and it's like, no, I'm an adult here. I like to be treated like an adult. So I guess by involving everyone in that process, it shows that we're trusting you. Like, yes, you're at a different level to me, but you have insight, you have input. I want to hear your input, and we're doing this together. I know I've heard that's kind of, we're in this together a lot lately, but it's rather than like a principal or a teacher saying, you must do this. It is a lot more collaborative. And I think, especially this day and age, like once upon a time, 20, 30 years ago, that's people were just used to that. But now people want to be respected and part of the overall picture.
Yeah, I mean, you're employed, they pay you to have an opinion. So why not, get your team members' opinion? I just think some managers do things so wrong sometimes, when it's, they could get so much more out of their team members, or their team, if they do get their their buy-in in the beginning and get their opinions. I mean, I worked for a company in the UK, and we were such an inclusive company. Everything we did, even down to our business planning, we got everyone's input. And I think that was the key to our success, was around, yes, as senior leaders, we came up with the ideas, but getting, at team off-sites, or getting, at different stages in the planning stage, getting their involvement and their feedback, it was just key to us being successful, because we had everyone's buy-in from the beginning. But yeah, it's so easy. I mean, there is going to be decisions that managers have to make, and you can't get everyone's involvement in those decisions, and it's going to come down to the manager. But there is a lot of work that you can do with your team and get them involved, and create more of a cohesive team.
Love it. Thank you. That was really great stuff. I'll put those the steps in the show notes, so you can go back and have a look at them, everybody. Now, I always ask my guests this: how do you manage your health and wellness?
Cool. So I am, like I mentioned before, very into my fitness. I was also a spin instructor at one point. So fitness is a big thing for me, and I actually see it as more of as my meditation. So I get up every morning, and if it's not going for a run, it's doing a HIIT workout. It's something that I need to do for me to have mental clarity. So that's what helps me stay healthy and fit. But I also think walking's great as well. So at the end of the day, if I've been working really hard, I will definitely go and do a 30-40 minute walk, and it just clears my head. Like, I think fitness is just an exercise. It's so great for your mental health, and obviously physical health as well. So I make sure that at least I'm moving every day. And, it doesn't have to be high intense, even though I love high intensity workouts. And, if, I just listen to my body, and if it means that I just go for a longer walk that day, then I'll do that. But yeah, I just, I guess for me, it's more around fitness and just eating well.
Yeah. And when you go for walks, do you listen to music or podcasts or silence?
I listen to a lot of podcasts and audiobooks. So, I love Audible, and I'll just get some business books or self-development books. I'm reading the Atomic Habits again for the second time, because I just think that's an amazing book. And you just get some really good tips out of how to build some good habits, and I definitely recommend that book. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm adding it to my notes and adding it to my to-read list. I have a big list at the moment of books I want to read, but or Audible. I haven't, like, for me personally, I also often go for walks with podcasts or run. And because I found that if I'm listening to music, for example, while I'm running, my brain can quite easily like take over and go, oh, you're getting tired, or you need to stop, or whatever. But if it's a podcast, I'm often so focused on the message, and I'm computing that my body doesn't have enough space to take over and tell me to stop. So
I know. Well, sometimes when I'm running and I'm listening to a really good book, I'm like, I don't want to stop running, because then I'll have to stop listening to the book. So I just keep running. So it's kind of good motivation as well.
Yeah. I haven't got into Audible yet, so maybe I should. I mean, it's the same kind of principle with podcasts, I guess, that absorbing content. So maybe I'll give it a go and see how we go. Fantastic. And how can people connect with you, Katie?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on there, and also go to my website at www.culturefithr.com.au. I'm offering a 30-minute free strategy session for people if they want help with reconnecting and resetting their teams. If you go onto my website, there's a culture fitness test that you can do to see how fit your culture is. And from there, I can connect with you, and we can talk about that and do a 30-minute session around how to help your team work more cohesively and re-engage them.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'll put that direct link in the show notes as well to make it nice and easy to find. But brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Katie. That was a really great insight. And thank you to you, dear listener, for tuning in, whether it's your first time or your 30th time. You can find show notes with the episode at marketingandme.com.au. If you enjoyed listening, please subscribe and leave me a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. If you're interested in connecting with me, feel free to reach out via LinkedIn. Just search for Leanne Shelton. You can also join the Marketing and Me podcast Facebook group. And if you want to learn more about generating more leads or outsourcing your copywriting to me, head to my website, righttimemarketing.com.au, and book in a free 30-minute discovery call. But until next time, I wish you good health and good wealth.